Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today, for our number talk, we are looking at these two numbers and trying to decide whether the quotient is going to be less than 7 or more than 7. Go ahead and take a moment, solve it for yourself, and then we'll come back together and look at our answers together. So we need to divide, and the 14 is just a whole number, but look at what we have here, right? This divisor is a decimal, 2.1. So first, let's just estimate, right? 2.1 is going to be really close to just 2. If I wanted to look at it like this, right, let's look at the boundary numbers that surround that 2.1. So the nearest whole number on either side is going to be 2 and 3. And we're going to look right here. Our midpoint is 2.5. So anything above 2.5, 2.5 and above is going to round up. But that 2.1 is just going to round down to 2 because it's really close to 2. Right? So if we wanted to just re-envision this as 14 divided by 2.0, really we could just call that 2. That's easy. That's 7. Right? So that lands right in between there. We need to figure out whether it's going to be a little bit less than 7 or a little bit more than 7. Well, we could draw a picture, but when we're trying to draw a picture and divide something into a decimal, right, by groups of 2.1, that's going to be kind of tricky. So let's look at it like this. All right, so I'm going to take my 14s, and there's just 4 different ways I can divide my 14. So let's look at that. All right, so 14 divided by 1, well, that's going to be 14. 14 divided into groups of 1 is going to be 14 groups. 14 divided by groups of 2, that's what we just did, right, is going to be 7 groups. You can also do 14 divided by 7, and that's going to be 2. And then 14 divided into groups of 14 or 14 groups, that's going to be groups of 1. All right, so take a look at what happens here. And I'll change colors here to kind of highlight what we just showed here. Take a look. As my divisors, those are the numbers I'm dividing by. As they increase, right, into groups of 1, groups of 2, groups of 7, groups of 14, take a look at what happens to my quotients, right? As the number of groups increases, right, the number in each group, my quotient is going to decrease, right? So that makes sense. If I'm going to just do 14 into one group, all 14 are going to be there. But if I take 14 into 2 groups, right, that's going to be 2 groups of 7. As I increase my number of groups, the number in each group is going to go smaller, and that's going to help us here. Because look at this 2.1, right? This 2.1 is a little bit above the 2.0. So it would land a little bit right there, okay? And so if it's going to be a little bit right there, you notice what's happening to my quotient. It's going from 7 to 2, which means my quotient is falling, which means it's going to be not just groups of 2, but into groups of 2.1, and my answer is going to be a little bit less than 7.